right, looks
Welcome,
like we're live.
everyone. I'm going to wait for a few people to connect in. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's like taking a little time for people to connect in. Slow audio today. All right. All right, we're going to get started. Welcome, everyone, to Make Your Website Work for You. It's a live interactive webinar hosted by Webheads United. Today, we have 3 experts from the Webhead United community that's going to do presentations, that's going to educate you on how to get customers to the website, stay on the website, get the website to work better for you and your clients. We are going to go through each of the presentations first, and then at the end we will have a Q&A. So if you will please hold your questions or write your questions in the chat, and I will be monitoring that, and we'll make sure to get your questions answered. So feel free to get that, take some notes. Before we start out, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the Webheads and who I am. I'm Pia Civiletti of Centium Associates, a member of the Webheads United, and we are a collaboration of experienced website professionals. And we work in all areas that are related to online websites, marketing, graphics, SEO, accessibility, you name it, anything that has to do with your website. So today, we're going to have 3 presenters, Josh and Eric. Our first presenter is going to be Josh, and he's going to be talking about content. Josh, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and then introduce your topic and go for it.
Okay, hi everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Joshua Lamoth. For over 15 years, I've provided design, development, building, and maintenance for small business owners, their web presence, their branding, their messaging, their hosting, and I've become a one-stop solution for people to handle all things digital. And so I'm really happy to take my 15 years of knowledge and experience and share some of that here today with you.
Okay. And second, let's go ahead to Josh, the other Josh. You can go ahead and introduce yourself and your topic.
Yeah, my name is Josh Collier. I'm from J&M Web Creations. I do web design, website hosting, website maintenance, also local search engine optimization and automation, which is one of the things I'll be talking about, automating your website or automating your just automating internet services and stuff like that to make your website work better for you in the future.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. And last but not least, Eric. Oh, can't hear you, Eric.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. My name is Eric Soper. I'm the owner and operator of Clarity Business Design in Washington State. I help people build comprehensive design systems for their website and then everything the website touches, particularly around online business. And today I'm going to be talking about profitability in websites and marketing.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Eric. All right. So again, I'm just going to explain how we're going to do this. We're going to go through each of the presentations. Please hold your questions to the end. You feel free to type any question you have in the chat, and I will be monitoring that and make sure it gets answered. But we will have kind of a Q&A at the end, so you can ask any question you want. either from chat or come live and ask the question. So to start out, Josh, do you want to go ahead and start your presentation?
Sure. Let me share my screen with everybody. Pia, just let me know if you can see.
Starting out. Yep, it's good.
Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. Once again, I'm Joshua Lamoth. My company is Grassroots Consulting, and I primarily focus on branding, design, and hosting, and helping people to connect with their best clients so that they can achieve their desired results. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about what makes content that connects today. Okay. And if anybody's on would like to mute, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Okay, the first thing that I want to say is that your website matters. Oftentimes there's a debate about should you have a website, shouldn't you have a website, does it make a difference? I'm saying yes, and it does. You don't have to take my word for it, but here's some reasons what I might convince you. It matters because ultimately your website becomes what I call the central hub for all your marketing efforts, right? Inevitably, no matter what you're doing out there, either your website through organic search, paying for advertisements, getting referrals, or through word of mouth or some form of networking, the odds are you're probably driving people back to your main website. Not always, but mostly. So therefore, it's very likely that it's actually the first impression that somebody who might be a potential customer has with you to get to know who you are. So therefore, as we know, first impressions are very important, right? And in this case, if you're going to make an important first impression, you want to make sure that you're establishing reputation as someone who's trustworthy and credible and reliable for what you do. So therefore, your website is really, really important because it can establish reputation or break reputation, trust, and credibility very quickly. And if you do things right, we can help to make sure that happens. And that's a big step in ultimately converting someone who visits your website into a customer or a user. A good website matters because it guides people to take specific actions that we want them to take to help them and to help us guide them to where we feel they should go next. Ultimately, it provides some kind of information or education, either on what you do and how you help them, or what kind of product or service you might have and the details around that. Obviously, it's a big factor in attracting new customers, and in some cases, you can serve your current customers if you want people to go back to your website and interact with it to do things inside of your business. So for these reasons, I say it is very important. And the reality is that most people will leave. That's just true. Most people, what I mean by that is people who hit your website, most of people will leave. These stats are not, they're not definitive, but they paint a picture of what you can expect. So roughly just say you have about 15 seconds to capture someone's attention in general. Now, that doesn't mean that most people stay 15 seconds, but in fact, 40% could possibly wait no more than 3 seconds for a website to load before they abandon the site, meaning they may click your link, your website's not loading, and therefore they just leave and they never even see your site, okay? Of those that remain, many will leave within 15 seconds, and the average time, and that's arguably about 3 seconds as well, with the 3-second rule. I'm being very generous with 15. And the average time that a site visitor actually spends is less than a minute across all industries. So again, don't hold me to these stats. You're going to find them all over. But the reality is you have a very small amount of time to capture someone's attention if they're even fortunate enough to land on your page. And so you want to make the most of that right away. So what you want to do, in my opinion, is to create, first distinguish between two things. One is a website that resonates and a website that repels. Obviously, we want to create a website by resonate. So what I mean by resonate is that it forms a connection with the person that makes them say, aha, yes, I am in fact in the right place. This is where I intended to be and go. This person could help me. So we do that in a number of ways, but essentially we want to create a good positive feeling, when someone lands on your website. I'm sure we've all gone to websites where we got a little jarred by what we saw. And others we feel like maybe we can breathe and take it in, right? So we want to create that. So we want it to be clear, and we want it to be easy to understand. We want it to be simple to get around, where people know where they're going and finding things. We want to talk directly to best clients, not just being very general. And ultimately, we want to guide people, like I said, to act, to take the action that we want them to take. And if you contrast that with other websites, maybe your own, you could look at your own website and ask yourself, is my website in which state is it in right now? Is it cluttered? You know, has it got a bunch of things just thrown there that don't really make any sense or not organized? Is it very difficult to get around, maybe even confusing as what you do? Is it outdated? Is it very clearly this was built in, I don't know, 2009, and it's just not really looking very fresh? Maybe things are broken, or you're getting security warnings, or it's not mobile responsive, so it's not adjusting to a mobile. These are things that can turn people off and make them leave really quick. So just think about your own website and see, you know, what's your website more leaning towards, one that resonates or one that repels? So, you know, the obviously there's things that make the website attractive, right? Which is important. And we want to immediately be able to draw people in, like I said, and we want to form that emotional connection and form a positive reaction. And so that people feel like they're in the right place, like I mentioned. That's one of the most important things. So there are things to focus on in this regard are some of the brand elements, you know, so making sure that things like your logo, which represents your colors and your fonts, the imagery that you're using, or the symbolism or the iconography that you're using, video, all the written content, all the buttons, all the elements are working together to support the goal, and that there is a what I would call a holistic look and feel to them, so that people understand. Well, first of all, your brain does not have an immediate psychological reaction that says something's off, something's not right here. We want all the elements to flow, right? When we do that, there's a calm that comes over someone. They say, okay, now I can read, now I can go and explore what's on this page. So by making sure that your initial what we call the hero, or the place where people come and right when they visit your website, really captures all these elements in a positive way and creates that emotional connection. That's very important. And again, look at your own website and make an assumption and see if it does or it doesn't. It might point you in a direction of what you might need some support with. I'm going to speak a little bit about messaging, or what I would call just written copy. You know, the first thing that is really important to come from, I think, is that, you know, you're not really writing about yourself. You're writing about them. You know, people in reality, yourself included, if you want pizza and you search for a local pizzeria in your town and you get to a website, and, you know, it might be good to see all the awards that they've won. It might be good to see the customer testimonials. It might be good to know how great they think they are. But the reality is there might be other things about what you're really looking for that they could be leading with that would maybe make it more about the customer, so the customer connects a little stronger. So, and maybe a pizza is not a great example, but think about that. Is your messaging geared towards understanding the customer and knowing the customer and reflecting that you really understand and know the customer? So some of the points that I ask people to look at is, you know, to understand that most people, if you're a service provider, they're having some kind of a challenge, or some kind of a consultant even, or something like that. They're having some kind of challenge and maybe a difficult time getting an answer to what they're looking for, and they're actually looking for support. You know, they may be in a vulnerable place, depending on if it's a health coaching or a health business, or a service provider. Maybe they have an infestation of something in their home. You know, they may be in an emotional state. So making sure that you're addressing some of those concerns and those fears and their frustrations is important, because it lets them know that you understand, and that's a part of showing empathy. And that's really important to help people connect with you. And, you know, it's great to have all your accolades and your rewards and talk about what you do and how you do it, but it's really important to make sure you're connecting with someone to let them know that you understand them, right? And from there, you can do things like establishing yourself as the guide, saying, I know what you need. I've got what you need. Let me show you the way. Let me show you the plan. Let me guide you towards the solution, right? And that might be, the solution might be scheduling a call with me, buying this initial product, you know, downloading a PDF, whatever your action is, but it's guiding them there as the first step in a plan to help them ultimately get the transformation or what they're looking to change in their life or in their circumstances. And one of the other things that a lot of people really forget is that, you know, your website should have an intention. It should really be designed as a tool. And Eric's going to talk more about that, and Josh too, to do something. And, you know, if you're not clear on exactly what that is, that's a big problem, number one. And the second part is it's also much easier to tell people where to go than to just expect that they're going to know where to go, right? So you want to make sure you know what your calls to action is. You want to know what people need to do first. You need to know what is a good first step for them. So guiding them towards, like, here's some examples: reading more, another page where they can read more information, signing up for something, downloading something, like I said, calling now or scheduling. These are actions that you want to say, if you're looking for help, this is the first thing to do. Get a quote, that kind of stuff. And you want to make sure these call to actions are really visible, using buttons or at least very bold text, and even in some cases images, but making sure that it's very clear, go here, is often overlooked, but that's an important part of keeping people on the site and getting them to act. Wrapping up in a minute, I just want to touch on something that comes up. So I just want to mention something about content. A lot of people are considering using artificial intelligence for generating content, and or already have, or they have questions about it. I'm just going to give some very basic points. I'm not going to claim to be an AI expert, but what I will say is that AI can get you over this big thing where, writing can be annoying to people. If you're not a writer, it can be very difficult to talk about your business, talk about yourself, think about blog posts for content. And so using AI and asking the right kinds of questions to AI can actually inspire some ideas and generate some creativity out of you, and give you even some insights into the market of the audience that you might not have known, statistics or data, or just what is it like to have that experience, so you can understand that empathy a little more. So using artificial intelligence like ChatGPT and things like that for sparking ideas and generating is really good overall. There are some pros and cons. I mean, obviously, it'll save you some time if you're using it as a starting point. You can get more consistent about publishing blog posts if you're not, if you're generating ideas through AI and some content, and obviously your efficiency can go up because you're not wasting a lot of time doing that. But bear in mind, I wouldn't be copying and pasting anything from AI. I would certainly be reviewing it and editing it and using it again as a source of inspiration, but not as something you just want to copy and paste. It's not going to be personal. It's not going to speak to you in your tone. It's not going to speak directly to your customers, and it may not even be accurate at the end of the day. But it's a great place to start if you need a little bit of support generating some additional content and ideas. And cost is always a factor. It could save on perhaps hiring a content writer, although it's not a replacement for a content writer. It could replace, at least at first, hiring someone if you can get your own ideas generated using AI. And I think that's it for me. I know I covered a lot, but if anybody out there is looking for help with making their website content more effective, I have a free gift on my website. You can check out the website link here, and we'll put it in the chat. I created the vision. I call it the Visionary Guidebook, and it's basically a way for you to capture some ideas and things like that in one place. So that's free to everyone who joined. I appreciate you for taking the time, and I will be available to answer any questions after our webinar. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Joshua. That was a great presentation. A lot of great information to get you started, understand how to get people to your website and make them stay. So our next presenter, and again, and Joshua mentioned this, but if you can hold your questions to the end, you can feel free to put them in the chat, and I will be monitoring them, make sure that at the end, we will get all the questions answered. So moving on to our second presenter, Josh, go ahead and bring up your presentation. Awesome.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, again, my name is Josh Collier with J&M Web Creations. One of the things that I've gotten really passionate about is automation. So the title here is Automation for an Efficient Business. You can save your business time and money. You may be able to take some things off your plate that are real tedious and annoying and just no fun for you. Okay, so this is a lot of times what we think of when we see automation. You have obviously Terminator here. You have some little labor automating appliances that can make a hamburger or make a salad, some of this kind of stuff. What we're actually talking about, these are more of a labor automation. We're talking about more of a website, internet automation to allow you not to have to make the same click every day, do the same things, check for Maybe it's different information on different websites. Maybe it pulls it into you. Maybe it sends you an email. So here's kind of what these automations are. You'll see on the left or on the right here, sorry. One of the biggest is probably Zapier, that allows you to actually make automations. There's a bunch of different ones here. One of the big ones people have probably heard of, they're not technically an automation that works with different things, but ChatGPT, as Joshua was kind of talking about before, essentially that's one to automate some creation of content and information. So creating an automatic process is what automation is. And normally it's for tedious tasks that are super boring, that are just take up your time so you can't actually get back to work with the things that you want to do. It may be financial type automation of different processing of invoices, stuff like that. One of the things we don't really think about as an automation, maybe, but it technically is, and it's on every website, essentially every website, are website forms. They will pull the information in that someone types in the boxes, in the fields, and then they will put it usually to a database on your website. Well, what else do you want them to do? Oftentimes you want them to send you that information so you can get back to a customer. Obviously, that's just something all websites do, but we don't think of it as much as an automation just because it's so common and does it. But if we didn't have it sending that email to us, for one, it would be very annoying having to go in and check it all the time and see if there is a new form fill or not. And just being able to have that sent to your email in within a minute or so is extremely handy. You can get back to your customers as soon as possible. So that's probably one of the easiest ways to see what an automation is, and just super simplistic. And then also it can, like it shows here, it can actually possibly add that information to your mailing list. Maybe it's in through MailChimp or one of the other companies' Constant Contact, and they'll get them added to your list so you can send them essentially emails about your brand or information about what you do. One of the big things here is kind of, which we've talked about, is it is a time and labor savings to be able to do what you actually do with your business. Many of the other random things you do online are just kind of boring oftentimes, and they may be something that if you're not very technologically inclined, that might be hard for you, or you might have to look at a thing every day to see, okay, how do I do that again? This will possibly help with that. Down below here is just showing kind of how automations can be made. There are a lot of different blocks that go into them. There's a bunch of different ways. Some are coded, some are not, but these would be blocks that do certain things on certain websites. Let's go on from here. So understanding what can be automated is a huge part. What do you do every day that takes a lot of time often, that you need to get information to yourself about? Maybe it's ROI, something like that, or how many people have come to your site. There's many different ways that you might want to use information and statistics. The main things are tedious tasks that can be done the same way every time. Essentially, they need to be able to be done the same way every time. If they have to have a human doing some certain thing that is done differently every day, it's probably not the best thing to automate. It may be able to be done, but it might be very hard and might take a lot of logic to understand what needs to be done. And again, one of the big things here is actually understanding the workflow. What do I need done every time? What information do I need? Where do I need it from? And understanding those steps. And that could be something I can help with. Okay, what exact step do we have to get what you need? So oftentimes it's data management information. So data information, maybe from your website, maybe from a different website. Maybe it's sending information to someone else. you might want to filter through certain, say, emails or certain information, not send you certain things. Maybe it sends you an order from the person who ordered the most, so you can send them a thank you note, something like that. It may also, the actual data entry can pull oftentimes from a Google Sheet or other places, so you may be able to put that information in there. It may pull it and put it somewhere else. And then even social media tasks can be done, and many other website tasks can be done, like pulling information, a picture you've made, and you put in here, and it throws it over to your social media nicely formatted. So going on to the next thing. Here are just a few reasons to automate. Obviously, saving time is a big thing. It may be not even as much about the time, but it may be about the tediousness as well. Just not having to do that boring thing that you hate to do every day. That's always the same, that is, other than the function, the final product of what you need from it, maybe the data or the information, is just grinding on you. It can save money. Obviously, it takes time to build an automation or to pay someone to do it. So it's kind of a ROI type thing. If it saves me 10 minutes every day, and I do it every day, that is what, 70 minutes a week, or maybe it's 50 minutes, depending on if you don't work all 7 days or do it all 7 days. So that kind of thing, maybe it costs you $300, but maybe it's worth your time over the year. So obviously it's going to take some time up front or money, but it pays back with being able to save you that time, as time is essentially money. And it allows you to do the things you like to do in your business, or that you actually do in your business. And again, there's less tedious tasks, so it's not as boring of a day possibly. One of the things I know that can be automation can be a love and hate relationship from a lot of people. You obviously, as a business owner, it can be great because you may not have to pay someone to do that job, where before you did. But also then there's kind of annoyances, I know, with automation at the checkout line, and you do it yourself and there's always an issue. So having these things set up so they work well all the time is extremely important. But another big part is actually human error. Sometimes when we get so bored with something, we just make mistakes. There's less of that. There might be an issue every now and then with the automated process, but there isn't a human error to press the wrong button or do the wrong thing there, because it is always looking for that same information every time. So here's a couple of the automation examples, just kind of workflow, understanding what can be done. The bottom one I have done, actually. The top one is one that could be done, though I haven't actually created it, but it could be something I do create. So the first one essentially is, let's say you have a website that sells pencils, let's just say, and you have every month you have the person who bought the most amount of pencils or something, whatever it is, and you give them a coupon. And so essentially what you want to do is you want to add all your information, either add it to a spreadsheet or a data table or something, adds it all to there, filters all orders to find only that email address that are, in this case, let's say this is actually someone who ordered more than one time a month. Let's say they order pencils 2 times a month, and you want to give everybody that ordered twice the actual discount. Sorry, I kind of messed up on that. But essentially, then it goes through all the emails, seeing if there's a duplicate email in there. Then we know they've bought once and they bought twice, or maybe 3 times or more. Then we automatically create a custom coupon code based on maybe their name of the information they've put in there. Then we input that coupon code name and the amount into the e-commerce site and create that coupon. Maybe they get a 10% discount, so it automatically creates a 10% discount and then creates an email, sends it to them saying, here's your coupon code. Thanks for buying more than once this month, something like that. So that could be something that works extremely well. So you don't need to look at, and there may be plugins, there may be different things that can achieve this for you. There may be other ways to do it, but I normally try to find the most efficient way to do that. And then instead of having to go make a coupon code manually, this makes it, sends it to them. You have much less work you have to do maybe at the end of the month. Another one that I actually have done, they log in on an iPad using Google Forms. Actually, when anybody comes into this free kids play area, they log in, the parent does. And at the end of the month, they wanted to see all the people that logged in and send them an email saying, thanks for coming for this month, and here's what we're doing. So it sends some information to them of people who actually are there. So essentially what it's doing is then finding this certain month of all the people who logged in, who went there, creates a subscriber tag saying it was July of 2023, let's say. And then when they are added as a login, it creates them into the email service. It adds that tag saying it was this month they logged in. It creates an email specifically for those who came that month, and sends the mass email to all. Or maybe you create it. That's actually how she wanted to do it. So it was custom every month. She created it, and she could easily send it to all the people just with one click of a button who had that tag for that month. And so she knew exactly who came that month, and she knew actually who got the emails were people that actually came and were doing stuff at the play area. So yeah, those are just some ways that I can automate things, and just some ways that a lot of people may not think about what automation is and how it can save you time. Many may not even know that there's different things, different services online that can be put together. Maybe your Gmail takes you find emails that do a certain thing or have a certain information in it, and you do send them some kind of email. Just automates a lot of things and helps you filter through junk that you don't need to waste time looking at. So hopefully that helps. If you have any automation questions, let me know at the end.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. That's some great information on automation, time-saving tips, and kind of next level. So if you're ready to go next level with your website, go ahead and contact Josh. So moving on to the last presentation. Eric, go ahead and start your presentation.
All right, well, go ahead and get going here. Can everyone see the screen? Thumbs up, perfect. All right, hello everyone. My name's Eric Soper again from Clarity Business Design, and today I'm going to be talking to you about profitability in your marketing. This is something that's kind of the holy grail for an online business or a business using an online presence to expand in any way. And we're going to talk about some practical applications of, believe it or not, math. Bear with me, it's going to be pretty easy to really make that effective for you. So let's start with some prerequisites. The first thing that your website needs to do is capture attention. Like Josh said earlier, you only have a few seconds to capture attention on most website visits. So be conscious of how long you are keeping people on your site, and Google Analytics can help you with that. Your website should engage people, should basically move them through the funnel to becoming your customers, present opportunities for them to opt into receiving more from you, an email newsletter, a free download like Josh again offered earlier, something, something that will continue to build your authority with them. You need to inspire their action of a sale or becoming a lead saying, hey, I want help, please help me. And then your website can also nurture them by providing content. So let's say you've got all of this dialed in. You have a website that is not just holding attention when it receives traffic, but it's also converting a portion of that traffic, a fraction of that traffic, into paying business over time. That's the goal. The next challenge is, how do you get more traffic? Because a lot of websites, when they launch, don't get very much in terms of visits. They might get 100 a month, they might get 500 a month, but when you're talking about converting 1% to 4% or even less of that traffic into paying customers, it becomes very clear very fast that you need to increase your traffic volume. And there are a number of ways to do this. But how much should you spend on it to be profitable? That's going to come down really to what it is that you're selling. And that's something that you need to look at. Look at how much it costs you to serve every client. Look at how much profit you take away. And then once you have that number, a ballpark figure I like to give my clients is that your budget should be 30% of the money that's left over from serving the client. So let's say you offer a $1,000 service, you keep $200 of it, then $60 would be approximately what you would set aside in order to market for the next customer. It seems like, it might seem like a lot, but it's pretty reasonable, as we'll go on to see. The conundrum that people run into is, well, hold on, I can market my business for free and keep those $60. Why wouldn't I do that? And you absolutely should do that. However, there is another variable in here that often trips up small businesses, startups, and even established businesses who are trying to break into online marketing. Advertising is like a vending machine, and marketing is like a claw machine. Let me explain why this is tricky. A vending machine is an opportunity to get a client, let's say. Let's say that you're in front of a machine like this one, and you see all sorts of clients, and you see a couple of the types of clients that you really love. You want to be able to basically push a button, spend $1, $2, whatever you spend at a vending machine, and get it to dispense that customer, that opportunity to serve that customer. You spend maybe about a minute making your decision, pushing the button, paying the money, and then you have your lead. Whereas a claw machine, let's say the claw machine is filled again with these same sorts of offerings that you were looking at in the vending machine. You can spend the same amount of money, but now you're going to have to spend your skill and your time to try and get that claw to reach on down, grab that customer, pull that customer up out of the pile, move it, and then drop it into your lead box. It takes a lot of time if you're proficient, and there's a fair amount of luck and skill attached to it. So that's a difference between advertising and marketing that a lot of people don't often make, is that advertising is like a vending machine in that you generally are trying to define what the cost is to put money in and get leads or customers out. And marketing is a bit of more of a gamble, but there's more time, there's more skill, and sometimes even more cost involved in the long run, especially when you start factoring in opportunity cost. So if you're trying to promote your business with $500 worth of marketing, you might not get that paid back in 3, 6, 9, maybe 12 months. Whereas $500 in advertising has the opportunity to pay you back right away. Advertising helps marketing make sense because advertising serves as a frame for how much marketing should cost. When you understand what it is that you have to spend in order to push the button and get the customer out of the vending machine, out of your advertising machine, then you know when you're spending that same amount of money on marketing and it's taking too long to work, hold on a second, I'm spending too much, it's not working, and my business is going to fail. So then when you also see that a marketing effort, let's say you advertise at a soccer stadium, you put a banner up, and you are attracting more customers with that one action than you normally do in advertising, and the dollar per customer is way better, then you know that you've made a good marketing decision, and to keep doing that for years until it stops effectively printing money. So that's the kind of the basics of what we're talking about. Let's get into how we can apply it. Promotion that directly correlates to dollar costs includes Google Ads, affiliate marketing, and Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest ads, social media advertising. Advertising in these mediums allows you to do a few things. It allows you to reach people where they are. They don't have to come to you, you go to them. It allows you to present what's relevant about your business alongside their other interests, which hopefully, once you've done your customer research, you're pretty clear on what that means. And it allows you to basically build a system that can work organically because you're playing in these spaces. Google has a paid function and an organic search function. Both can bring you traffic. Facebook, social media, the same thing. There's free content on Facebook, there's paid content on Facebook. And so when you're using paid advertising to augment the free stuff that you're doing, you can at times gain traction in both and let them both kind of help each other out. These are examples of advertising. Promotion that doesn't correlate dollar costs to new customers and clients. This is marketing. Examples of marketing are blogging, putting organic social content out there. So you're posting photos on Facebook, you're posting your work on Instagram. Word of mouth is a very valuable marketing. That's referrals, that's maybe networking. And there is a lot of time and cost and sometimes cost involved in good quality networking. So it's, it's a very leverageable outlet for your marketing, but it also can take a lot of time. And email marketing, we all get email marketing. We all know what this is. We get probably hundreds a day. You can be among those hundreds and people won't complain as long as you're aligned with what people are expecting to receive. So those are examples of marketing. We have advertising where we're paying for placement, and marketing where we're basically letting the algorithms or our physical presence create that placement and attract interest. Now let's talk a little bit of math. We're talking about a 3-letter acronym, CAC, which stands for Customer Acquisition Cost. When you know how much it costs you to acquire a customer, you know when the marketing that you're doing is saving you money. So customer acquisition cost is a very easy calculation. You divide, all the customer or all the revenue you spend on acquiring customers, whether it be marketing or advertising. And you take that, add it up, divide it by the number of customers that you added to your business. New customers, not necessarily repeat customers making a new sale. That's a different formula. But how many new clients came to you in that time, and how much did you spend in that time? And they may not always be directly correlated, but it gives you an idea in your business at a very high level what it costs to get a customer. If you don't know this, you're going to be lost. So your gross profit is a line item on your balance sheet, which is basically what's left after your cost to fulfill is taken out. Again, you sell a $100 widget, it costs you $30 to make. Now there's a gross profit of $70. And then before you start taking out your business expenses, your marketing, your advertising, just like look at maybe 10 to 30%, maybe $10 of that, $30 of that should be about what you have to spend to get a customer in order to have enough margin afterwards for your business operation expenses. The bigger the pipeline you build, the more that math can be flexible, but let's just take a very simple example. It's a simple correlation. Once you have that, you know what to spend. So how do you start spending? Well, it starts by saving. It helps to pull aside a fraction of your revenue before you start spending money on advertising, because a lot of us are in a place where we've started a business, there have been costs to start up the business, or we've done other marketing, other advertising, and it burned through our cash. And now we're basically trying to ramp back up. That happens to many, many business owners, and we don't want that. Start by pulling aside a fraction of the gross revenue. So this is the amount of money that you charge on the invoice or on the transaction. Just set that aside until you've saved, I don't know, 1,000, 3,000. Give yourself a little bit of advertising runway. And then probably one of the best ways to start advertising online is going to be on Google Ads, Facebook ads, or Instagram ads. And social media ads really depend on what type of business you have and where you're finding that your customers spend their time. That comes back again to your customer research, which at this point I would hope that you have. But if not, go ahead and take some time to ask some of your best clients, hey, what social media do you use? Or how did you find us in the first place? Once you start running those ads, you take the gross revenue that you've set aside and you start running, you'll probably have to run about $500 to $1,000 a month in order to start getting usable information that helps your business succeed. You'll start to see, don't just run, one ad campaign, run two side by side with a shared budget, and see which one converts better. Because again, we're assuming that your website is dialed in. Your website is a machine that is turning traffic into leads. It just needs more traffic. And so in order to get more traffic, the fastest possible is to advertise to the people you know will benefit most from your services. And this is a great way to do it. You can do this yourself. You can start running Google Ads today with a credit card and a little bit of writing and maybe a couple of YouTube videos. You can do that. Or you can invest some of what you've set aside in getting professional help to do that as well. In my experience, that starts, a lot of people will start around $500 or a certain percentage of the budget that you're allocating, whichever is greater. So keep that in mind as well. So now, how do we pull this all together? We have to remember that advertising defines what it costs to acquire a customer in a vacuum. And then marketing effectively serves up dozens, hundreds of potential coupons on your customer acquisition cost. That referral you get from the customer you've already helped, that changes the math. If you're dividing $100 of advertising by 2 clients 1 month, and then $100 of advertising, and then 2 clients plus one that was referred by one of the originals the next month, divides by 3, your total cost goes down from $50 to $33. And so, don't feel that just because you're advertising, marketing is useless. It's not. But it's a discount. If you were marketing without advertising at all, you're just creating cost. You have no comparison for your marketing. And so you could spend $500 a year on networking. You could spend $2,000 a year on creating content on your website. But you don't know whether or not that is effective in a customer acquisition space unless you know what it would cost you to get those customers through advertising. You cannot reduce your cost below 0. So marketing without advertising is really just straight inefficient, unmeasurable cost that needs to be really carefully monitored. And a lot of us don't have the time for that. Advertising is easy to monitor, easy to calculate, and then provides context for you to make better decisions, more profitable decisions on your advertising and marketing going forward. And then as you keep pulling percentages of revenue out of your gross sales, you create a flywheel effect, and your marketing can become profitable in no time. I hope that was helpful for you. I'm happy to answer any strategic questions around this or tactical questions around this. Again, my name's been Eric Soper. Clarity Business Design is my company, and I look forward to answering any questions in the Q&A session. Thank you all for your attention.
Thanks, Eric. That was great. All right, so now we are going to move into the Q&A portion of the webinar. So if you would like to either put a question in the chat, or you can also raise your hand by clicking on reactions and click on raise hand, and you can come off mute and ask any question you have of any of the presenters on any of the topics. So we have one from Debbie Norton. This is for Eric. Are you using automation in advertising? If so, how?
That's a great question, Debbie. Thank you. Automation can happen a few different ways, but that's largely going to come into play when you're considering your overall sales funnel. Let's say you're using email marketing as a pretty core tenet of your advertising. An automation might look like this. You have a Google ad running traffic to a landing page, and then on that landing page, there's a form that takes in their interest. Then when that form is entered, a couple automations happen. One, you might receive an email, like Josh gave an example earlier. You receive an email that happened. There's one simple automation. But then what you can do with your email marketing software usually is listen for a trigger. Have the software listen for a trigger, new email added to the list. The form connected to the email list is another automation. So we're talking little micro automations. And then you might already have, let's say, a sequence of 5 emails already written out, ready to go to new subscribers on that list. Then that automation triggers when that new subscriber is added, and then those automations go out. Now, I don't know about using anything like ChatGPT in an automation, although that is something that Zapier now can do. That's usually going to be best for your personal information rather than for marketing to your customers. But another automation in advertising is report automation. Oftentimes you can get reports generated either through Google Ads or Facebook ads or some combination of those tools plus a Zapier-like software or Google Data Studio, so that you can see on a regular basis what your customer acquisition cost is. An example of this might be maybe you output that information from Google and it goes into a Google Sheet, and then the Google Sheet gets pulled to generate the math and the report. And so you don't have to spend a whole lot of automation time. You automate the process of reviewing your customer acquisition cost. Automation is really like Josh was saying, just about finding those little repetitive tasks and making them done for you. And when you stack the automations, create bigger automations, it just becomes more and more systemized. Advertising is one of those things, though, that you want to have a pretty firm handle on for the first few months. You want to keep an eye on it. You want to make sure someone is keeping an eye on it if you're not doing it yourself, so that you can get as much information in those early months from your advertising budget to help inform changes to the advertising, because advertising is a game of experimentation, trying different headlines, trying different body copy, trying different images. So automation comes after that's been done, generally speaking. Great question. I hope that was helpful.
So thanks, Eric. I don't know, Josh, do you have anything else to add as far as automation?
Yeah, I mean, with that, you could actually use, let's just say ChatGPT for, not for actually writing everything, but possibly for getting headlines and stuff that might convert, and you can use them in your A/B testing and seeing where, which one works better. So it may be something you write your own, and then you also have ChatGPT rewrite it, and then you use two different ads, see which one works the best. It can be good for like an A/B testing type thing to do, even though you may not be automatically, you may be pulling the stuff automatically and then manually putting it back in, but it can be a help for something like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. We have another, so Carol, you're saying you're starting a violin music studio and your website has a contact form. Do you have a question? You can come off mute if you would like to go ahead and, oh, here we go. What do I need to do to get folks to sign up? Who wants to take that?
And my question in general is I was providing way too much information, and it seems, I did website stuff a long time ago, and it seems like websites now are, the less information, the more it seems to be a lot more popular or appropriate for currently. And I've calmed down my content stuff. I've got, register now buttons all over the place, but I haven't built out my social media, my Facebook page, although I have one. What do I need to do to get I want to market to a local clientele, and any thoughts that you guys might be able to share with me, would be appreciated.
I'm happy to start if no one else.
Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah.
What do we do with this one?
So there are a couple things just to kind of think about. Yeah, what Debbie just posted in the chat is set up your Google business profile. And I don't know if you've done that.
Well, this is one reason why I haven't. I originally, is it okay if I use company names?
It's up to you.
Yeah. Well, I did GoDaddy, and they have this, and I know how to do, they have a website builder thing, and because I was wanting to get something up quickly, I actually used it. And the website looks actually pretty good. I mean, in my opinion. But what I did was I registered that it originally was one domain name. I currently have 2 domains pointing to it. And the domain that I really like right now, it's not the original one. And I'm getting nowhere with GoDaddy trying to figure out getting them to point out to correct what I don't know. So I'm thinking, like, one of the reasons I haven't actually moved forward with the Google profile is I'm a little concerned about that. I don't know
Okay.
if that I've explained that very
That
well.
I think so. Yeah. So let me, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you set up your website on GoDaddy with their website builder, and then you launched it at a domain that you may have had before, that maybe you had your original domain, you registered a second domain that you like better, and now you're having difficulty switching and getting the primary one up. And so the domain that you don't like as well is not live. And so you're hesitant to send traffic to it with the Google business profile.
Basically, yes.
Yeah. So my recommendation is get your business profile going, because you can modify the website attached to it. That's not set in stone. GoDaddy, I don't actually know the intricacies of the GoDaddy builder, so that's really something where we'd have to, if I were working with you, it'd be a collaborative session. But it is possible to point multiple domains to one website. It's just one would be the primary one. And so it's just a matter in GoDaddy of switching which domain is attached to the website as the primary, and then forwarding the old one to the new one. That's,
Yeah,
technical
no,
stuff.
and I have
and
that
you've got
that set up. It's just that when I first built out the website, I used domain 1, let's
Mhm.
say, and then I started fishing around for some further domain names that were, I thought would be more appropriate, or might be more user friendly, or be more intuitive for individuals to search on with words. And so I switched I switched them to domain 2, and then I also have domain 3 that are currently pointing to the website. Domain 1 is no longer pointing to the website.
Okay.
And-
Well, whichever one is pointing to your website right now is what you would use to set up your Google business profile.
Okay.
Unless you are going through a process where the main one isn't the one that GoDaddy is using to point to the website first, and showing when people get there regardless. But the Google business profile is flexible, and it's very, very necessary for a local business. And it's not one of those things that you can set up overnight. You do have to go through a verification process, receive a postcard, and
Yeah.
they validate that you're human, basically.
Right. They want to know where you live, and that you have a real address and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, they need to be able to contact you. You don't have to have that public, but if you set that up, that gets you the ability to put your keywords first in the Google profile, and that can show up on Google Maps. So anyone looking for a violin teacher near you through organic search can find you through that channel. And customers you've served already, if you have those, can leave you reviews if requested, and really help you
Yes.
start building that credibility on Google.
Okay.
Then what you do with the websites honestly are so flexible. A lot of people get really concerned about doing it right the first time. There is never, ever going to be a website that, once it's done, stays exactly that way for all
No,
time.
I realize
Yeah,
that. I realize
you know
that.
that.
I know that.
So yeah, don't hold back on the Google business profile. That's a huge thing for your business. Get that
Okay.
done.
All
And
right.
then in terms of other marketing, I would ask your past customers where they spend their time. Anyone who you feel, do some customer research, figure out where you can find more people like them. Schools, I'd imagine, have bulletin boards in your area. For music teachers, often putting a paper flyer out is a little labor intensive, but it's not super expensive as long as the school's okay with it. That can be a great way to reach parents and students. And then in terms of putting out content, yeah, you're asking, why should people fill out, how do you get people to
How
to
do they
fill out
click
the
the
form
button
on the
and fill
website?
the form out so I can contact them?
Well, why you got to ask yourself, looking honestly at your website and your marketing, why would they do that instead of, and then you fill in the blank, which is their alternative. Their alternative is doing nothing and going to a local competitor, or just staying in the class that they're in. So your content, if you're not getting a lot of traffic, it might be that your content's not compelling enough, and it doesn't have to be long to be compelling. It just needs to be properly worded. And maybe there's something that you can create, some sort of a lead magnet, a guide, a free startup course that teaches the essentials that you want them to already know by the time they start paying you. Something that you could give them instead of them just saying, hey, I want to be a student. Like, make it really evident that you are the person that they need to contact if they want to play violin really well. And that will lead to an increase in informed traffic.
Okay, thank you. Much appreciated.
Happy to help.
Joshua or Josh, do you have anything else to add to that?
The lead magnet also could be like a free 30-minute session or a coupon or something like that. That can also be something, once they fill that in, they get it. That can be another option there too.
Well, and well, I had put up on as sort of a, I don't know, banner thing, they sign up, they get, a certain amount off their first lesson or whatever. But one of the issues that I'm running into with this GoDaddy thing that I'm kind of locked into, unfortunately, is usually I would just do I would use MailChimp or Constant Contact or something like that to do a little to do the initial sign up, and so I can contact you rather than making or give you a coupon, or but I can't integrate those platforms with the website builder that GoDaddy I'm locked into at this point.
How locked in are you? Like,
Well,
what is it that's making you say that you're locked in?
Well, because I've spent a lot of time building out the website, and in order for me to what they're telling me, GoDaddy is telling me, and I'm not really very happy with their customer service at this point, is they're telling me that I'm on my own. If I want to change something up, then I need to go to a traditional WordPress scenario, and I'm like, I already spent a lot of money and my time and effort, and that's all you can tell me. So I don't know.
That's why we generally don't recommend the GoDaddy builder. WordPress is a really good system, and most of us webheads use it.
Yeah.
But the GoDaddy builder is just too limited. Even a Wix or a Squarespace thing would do it. And yeah, you've sunk a lot of time into it, so you've got a little bit of a lost cost fallacy, locking you in there. But GoDaddy's refund policies are generally fairly favorable and consumer friendly, and negotiating a return of some of your financial investment might be possible. And you got to ask yourself if the opportunity cost is worth it. If you, I mean, you could be happy with the WordPress, or a WordPress design could replicate the design that you've created if you're really, really happy with it. That's not a problem. But if the functionality is lacking, then how much is it costing you to not have that functionality? And that's an opportunity cost I would consider. And then your best bet would probably be to connect with someone who either specializes in setting those systems up within GoDaddy Builder, or just, finding someone to help you move it to a better system.
Right. The other idea I was having was maybe, just because I've got several domain names, was just maybe doing hooking up one of those domains to email, to one of the email portals like MailChimp or Constant Contact, and just having a landing page and advertising that.
Carol, can I interject there? Because I'm sorry, I was gonna mention this, and you just kind of segued it a bit. An alternative to creating a page is that MailChimp, when you create a sign up form, there's a link feature. And when you use that link, it actually creates its own MailChimp landing page. You can't edit it. So
Right.
what you could do is you could use GoDaddy to initiate that call to action button. And when you click the link, it can open up in a new window the MailChimp sign up form. That way you don't have to build a landing page and you don't have to officially integrate MailChimp. And you can send them directly to your MailChimp subscriber list, right, from a link. So I don't want to get into weeds, but I think that's something that could actually save you a lot of time and money by just mentioning that one little
Okay,
feature. But again, any one of us are available for a private consultation after this. I don't know if that was emphasized enough. So you, Carol, or anyone else who's here with us listening could schedule a one-on-one and we could really actually address some of the specifics and give you really targeted advice. I just want to take the time to say that.
thank you, thank you, thank you. All of you are very, very, very well trained, and I appreciate everything that you had to say this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Carol. Does anybody else have anything else? You can, any other questions? You can come off mute and go ahead and ask your question. Use us while we're here. All right. Does any of the speakers have anything else you'd like to add?
I just think that was a really great conversations. And yeah, Carol, thank you for your question. I'm sure we got at least a little bit down the road there to help you. And yeah, we have a survey, I think, don't we, Pia?
Yep, I pasted the link for the survey several times. The contact information has also been pasted again. Here is, let me paste that again for you. Here's the contact information. And if you'd like to complete the survey is right about there. Let's see. And there's a survey. We'd love to hear from you and your feedback. And join us again for our next event. We have several events a month, sometimes a little bit different formats. Sometimes they're like a webinar as we did today. Sometimes they're just purely Q&A, and sometimes they're panels where we have a set of questions that are curated, as well as taking questions from the audience. So please join us again. As Joshua mentioned, we all do free consultations. Usually like 30 minutes. So you can set one up with any of us and get more in-depth questions answered. So please feel free to do that as well. And we really appreciate everybody joining us. And I guess we'll conclude at this point. And thank you again, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.